In my humble opinion, Mandalorian Season 1 was like a pizza place in Little Italy. However, instead of serving normie food like ham and pineapple or chicken on their pizzas, the place made beautiful gourmet meals with wonderful ingredients fresh out of the garden. Sure, it was still a pizza shop in Little Italy, but it had a soul to it. It wasn't like everything else. The Mandalorian's characters were great, the action was on point, and the world building was nothing short of superb. Finally, Star Wars was not a vacuum. At last, we had confirmation that the universe exists far beyond the Skywalker bloodline. The first season was exactly what I'd been looking for in Star Wars for such a long time. It tossed out gigantic galactic battles, J.J. Abrams, and cameo appearances for some fantastic character moments. It was just awesome. What about Season 2? So Mandalorian Season 2 is like if that same pizza place that I was talking about before, despite winning multiple food awards and becoming one of the most successful pizza places around, for some reason decided to throw out their gourmet meals and instead replace them with ham, pineapple and chicken toppings, as well as putting melting cheese in their crusts. Sure, it's still pizza from the same place I love, but now it's like everything else in Little Italy.
What'd you put in the pizza today?
Always the same, the best.
That's not oregano.
Before I get into the negatives, I want to talk some positives. I want to be that guy. I want to say something I like about this show. In fact, I want to say a couple things I like about this show. So number one, the action in this season is still on point. Specifically the first episode. That goddamn aspect ratio is just mwah. It's genius, it's glorious, it's beautiful. I wish the whole show was shot in the full frame aspect ratio, because you can just get a sense for how much effort goes into each and every episode. You can really pick apart the production design, the costume design, as well as the beautiful CGI. It just enhances the overall experience. The world building is still cool and the characters are good, but not really great. My problem with the second season of Mandalorian is that it kind of forgets what made the first season so good. Mandalorian Season 2 acts as if it's the Virginian or Gunsmoke. Shows with 20 to 30 episodes a season, where spending time with fan favourites like Bo-Katan, Ahsoka Tano and Boba Fett is okay, because we still have 27 more episodes to focus on little things like character development. The problem with Mandalorian is that it is not the Virginian or Gunsmoke. It has a mere 8 episodes of narrative potential, so every episode kinda needs to take advantage of that. Now, I understand what The Mandalorian is trying to do. The side quest episodes are there so we spend more time with Mandalorian and Baby Yoda, and in theory I think this is an excellent idea.
But be careful. They're oppositely charged, so keep them away from each other. Make sure you hold them apart from... No, hold them apart.
My problem with the side quest style of storytelling is when they focus way too much on characters who shouldn't even be here in the first place. Speaking of things that should be in the show, in my favourite episode from Season 1 titled The Sanctuary, directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, we see how this side quest style of storytelling can actually impact Mandalorian and Baby Yoda. Throughout the episode we see the two characters grow. Mandalorian sees how a normal life is something he might be able to have, and for a split second he considers it. He sees how Baby Yoda adjusts to life around other children, and much like a proud father, he watches with approval. He sees how peaceful and kind the people of this planet are, and he wants to be a part of that life. But as the end of the episode proves, he can't have that, at least for now. When the show focuses on previously established legacy characters, however, it refuses to drive the internal quest of the lead character himself, the Mandalorian. These episodes merely exist as shameless ways of expanding the Star Wars universe by not really expanding it at all. In case you have short-term memory loss, this is the exact same problem that hit the feature films.
You are a Palpatine.
Look, I'm going to be honest with you, who are the breakout characters from this season of The Mandalorian? There's no new Din Djarin, Baby Yoda, or IG-11. Sure, maybe Cobb Vanth counts, but even then, he isn't an original character. The main breakout stars from this season are Bo-Katan, Ahsoka Tano, Boba Fett, and as the finale showed us, Luke Skywalker. 4 characters we already knew from previous Star Wars media. What does the Boba Fett episode of Mandalorian Season 2 actually do for the Mandalorian's character? I mean, it reintroduces Boba Fett and proves to people that they were right for idolizing him for 35 years. The one cool aspect of Boba Fett in this show, the crummy and disheveled suit, is solved in the next episode anyway, as they just give him a paint job. Apart from killing a bunch of dudes and producing a cool callback to Attack of the Clones,
Fett,
Let's just say they might recognize my face.
Boba doesn't really do anything for the rest of the season. He kind of just stands around and flies his ship every now and then. And the show ends, and we see a setup for his own spin-off show where he might actually develop. Maybe, I guess, we'll see? Hell, even the Ahsoka episode, which initially proved her detachment from the Jedi, as evident by her refusal to train Baby Yoda because of his love and affection for Mandalorian, retroactively just acts as a backdoor pilot for her own spin-off show. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the final episode for a little bit here, so just bear with me. I didn't really care for Luke in this show. If you liked his appearance, then, you know, that's cool and all. I get wanting to see your childhood hero come back and do some cool shit. After all, I'm insanely excited to see Tobey Maguire come back for the new Spider-Man film. However, for me, Mandalorian Season 1 really worked well because it had nothing to do with the other films. It existed in that universe, but it wasn't a slave to it. It was completely separate, and thus it was an open world and a new toy box. The show was really forced to rely on its new and original characters, and it was obviously all the better for that. I would have liked the Luke sequence more if it didn't exist in the way it does, and I know that sounds pretty dumb, but please let me explain. Luke coming in and saving the day is fine, and we get a cool action sequence out of it, but it doesn't really drive Mandalorian's narrative or arc. It just feels incredibly rushed in a way that I can't really describe unless you just watch it. It doesn't flow in the way it really should. I mean this in the nicest way possible, but the frame that is on screen right now is like the greatest self-own ever. The bright, optimistic future of the Star Wars franchise is being whisked away by a lifeless reincarnation of the past. I think it would have been a little better if Mandalorian saved Baby Yoda, and after all of this, he found Luke himself, and delivered Baby Yoda to him on his own. At least this way, Mandalorian acts as the active protagonist, not Luke, a character we've never seen in this show and will likely never see again. I feel like this ending would have provided a more emotional send-off for Baby Yoda, as Mandalorian would have had a more difficult decision to make, as he actively went to find Luke with the knowledge that he's going to let Baby Yoda go. Something like this would have just changed this sequence. It would have made Mandalorian the main focus and not the fact that Luke Skywalker is on screen right now. You can't really focus on the emotional thing that is going on when you have this on screen. My big fear going forward with The Mandalorian is that the show continues this habit of putting the pre-established universe in front of its original characters, with the rumours and theories that even more legacy characters like Captain Rex, Thrawn, Mace Windu, and at this point I wouldn't even be surprised if they tried to find a way to shove Palpatine in there. I'm becoming incredibly worried that Lucasfilm are losing track of what made The Mandalorian so special in the first place. People didn't respond to the show because it was just Star Wars. If that were the case, people would have showed up for Solo, or they would have loved The Rise of Skywalker. We cared about The Mandalorian because it was a touching story of a parent trying to raise his kid in the wildest universe there is. Now, I'm open to changing Mandalorian's story. I'm cool with him dropping off Baby Yoda at Luke's Jedi school or whatever, and going off on his own character arc. That's great, fine. But do you need to have so many legacy characters show up? Hopefully the introduction of so many characters this time around means that they won't stick around next season, as most, if not all of them, have spin-off shows already announced. Hopefully next season is a really Mandalorian-focused show. Hopefully. So you're probably asking yourself this very good question. Robbie, will you return to the pizza place in Little Italy? And the answer is this. I will. But I really hope they go back to the gourmet stuff, as the cheesy crust is giving me a goddamn tummy ache.